The movie opens with a gripping introduction to Avery Montgomery, a young man with a promising future. He is a hardworking and ambitious individual, living a peaceful life with his girlfriend, Krista. Avery has dreams of making something of himself, staying out of trouble, and focusing on his career. However, his life takes a drastic turn when he is caught up in a situation beyond his control. Avery's background is one of resilience. Coming from a rough neighborhood, he had always worked hard to avoid the mistakes that many of his peers had made. His relationship with Krista is one of the few stable aspects of his life, and the two dream of building a future together. However, his friendships with Kashmir and Dre, two men from his past, prove to be a double-edged sword. While they share a deep bond, they also live on the edge, frequently making choices that put them in questionable situations. One evening, while driving home, Avery and his two close friends, Kashmir and Dre, are stopped by the police for what seems like a routine check. Things escalate quickly when officers find a bag of illegal substances in their car, something none of them claim ownership of. Despite their protests, the officers arrest all three on drug-related charges. With little evidence to prove their innocence, and a justice system working against them, Avery is convicted and sentenced to prison. The arrest scene is tense and dramatic. The officer in charge, Detective Reynolds, seems to have a personal vendetta. He is convinced that Avery and his friends are part of a larger drug operation. Despite their clean records, the system is quick to push them through the legal process, offering them plea deals that could lessen their sentence if they confess. Avery refuses, determined to clear his name, but Kashmir and Dre are less certain. In court, Avery's lawyer struggles to present a strong defense. The prosecution paints him as a dangerous individual with potential gang ties. The judge, with a history of harsh sentencing, gives Avery a long prison term. His dreams are shattered in an instant. Thrown into the brutal prison environment, Avery quickly realizes that survival is not easy. The facility is run by ruthless gangs, corrupt guards, and violent inmates who see newcomers as easy targets. Avery, who has never been involved in criminal activity before, is now forced to navigate a world filled with danger at every corner. His two friends, Kashmir and Dre, also struggle to adapt, but they choose different paths. Kashmir aligns himself with one of the prison gangs for protection, while Dre tries to keep his head down and avoid trouble. Avery, however, refuses to join any gang, making him vulnerable to attacks. The prison environment is depicted in gritty detail. The overcrowded cells, the constant power struggles, and the lack of basic human dignity make every moment a challenge. The food is barely edible, and fights break out over the smallest disputes. Avery quickly gains the attention of the prison's most feared gang leader, Mason, who sees potential in him. Mason tries to recruit Avery into his gang, but Avery refuses, wanting no part in the violence and corruption. This defiance does not sit well with Mason, who marks Avery as a target. Soon, Avery faces threats and physical attacks, forcing him to defend himself. An older inmate named Barnes, a former boxer and one of the few decent men in prison, takes Avery under his wing. Barnes teaches him how to fight and survive in prison without losing his humanity. With Barnes's guidance, Avery learns that in prison, every move is a matter of life and death. Through intense training sequences, we see Avery transform. He begins to understand the psychology of prison life. He learns when to fight and when to walk away. Barnes shares stories of his past, revealing that he was once a promising athlete before a single mistake led to his incarceration. As Avery struggles to adapt, he realizes that the real power in prison is not with the inmates, but with the corrupt guards who manipulate the system for their gain. Some guards facilitate drug trades, others arrange fights between prisoners for entertainment, and a few take bribes to offer protection. Avery learns that if he wants to make it out alive, he must outsmart not just the inmates, but the system itself. Meanwhile, Kashmir, who has now become fully integrated into the prison gang life, betrays Avery. In a desperate attempt to gain favor with the gang leader, Kashmir falsely accuses Avery of snitching to the guards. This leads to Avery being ambushed in the prison yard, resulting in a brutal fight where he barely escapes with his life. Realizing that he cannot keep running forever, Avery decides to fight back. He trains harder under Barnes, learning to defend himself and outthink his enemies. As tensions rise within the prison, Avery uncovers a conspiracy involving Mason, the gang leaders, and the corrupt warden. The warden is secretly making money off illegal activities in the prison, using inmates as pawns in his game. Avery gathers evidence of these corrupt dealings, risking everything to bring the truth to light. With the help of a sympathetic guard and a lawyer working on his case, he smuggles out proof of the illegal operations. With his newfound knowledge, Avery plans his next move carefully. However, Mason and the other gang leaders are aware of his actions and decide to eliminate him before he can expose them. In a climactic final fight, Avery is forced to face Mason one-on-one in the prison yard. Using everything he has learned, Avery defeats Mason in a brutal confrontation, sending a clear message that he will not be broken. Meanwhile, the evidence Avery smuggled out leads to an investigation into the prison's illegal activities.